constantly catching up on our development, which is really important to do, and we're still working towards that. We'll complete probably our development hopefully by the end of March, but in the meantime, things have gone really well. We're getting deliveries on a weekly basis, we're getting paid on a weekly basis, and the one thing, the price of gold and silver has been super helpful. So it's been quite good for us, and we're able to just continue to push along and make sure everything's running at an optimal level. But it's been great, especially the last month of January.
Welcome to those tuning in, where I'm delighted to once again be joined by Alex Langer, CEO, President and Director of Sierra Madre Gold and Silver. Welcome.
Hi, Katie. Thanks so much for having us.
So the last time we spoke, I believe, was actually our 121 London Mining Investment event. But for those new viewers to the Assay, can you just give us a bit of backstory to the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're Sierra Madre Gold and Silver. We're listed on the Toronto's Venture Stock Exchange under the symbol SM. We are probably one of the newest precious metals producers. We produce gold and silver from the fully permitted, past producing, now fully commercial production La Guitarra Silver and Gold Mine, which is located just outside of Mexico City.
Excellent. That's why we're here today. The big news for your La Guitarra Gold Mine. You've achieved commercial production there. So let's hear a bit about that.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So we started test mining actually in June of 2024. Things have gone quite well. We went from like 270 tons per day up to 350, 425, and then we did hit commercial production, which is 500 tons per day on January 1st of 2025. Having said that, we have been running about 500 tons per day for about the last 90 to 100 days or so now. And things have gone well. Lots of little hiccups here and there, but it's a huge testament to how well we've done and the state of the facilities. Again, it was a former past producer. So First Majestic, who we purchased the mine from, they've done such a great job of care and maintenance and community relations and environmentals, and all the permitting and everything was up ready to go. So it's just a little bit of work we had to do. And so we've been running and operating for the last little while, and it's been quite exciting.
So you've been running and operating for a while, but was January 2025 a record monthly production month for La Guitarra, I believe?
It was, yeah. So we were, getting into better grades. We're, constantly catching up on our development, which is really important to do, and we're still working towards that. We'll complete probably our development hopefully by the end of March, but in the meantime, things have gone really well. We're getting deliveries on a weekly basis. We're getting paid on a weekly basis, and the one thing, the price of gold and silver has been super helpful. So it's been quite good for us, and we're able to just continue to push along and make sure everything's running at an optimal level. But it's been great, especially the last month. January was. And
are you planning to continue these levels of production throughout 2025, or are we planning to stick to those levels?
Yeah, I think so. So that's currently the plan right now, and that is the nameplate capacity of the mine. It's 500 tons per day. Yeah. And then we have looked at ways to increase throughput, increase production, and we can definitely do that. It's actually a little bit easier than we had previously thought. If you look at the capacity of some of the parts of the mill and operations, it's actually quite a bit higher. So the flotation cells, as well as the filter presses, are good for about 1,200 tons per day. The jaw crusher, which is a crushing circuit, is good for about 640 tons per day. Then the largest bottleneck is going to be your grinding circuit, which is our ball mills. We currently have 3 ball mills. We'd like to add a 4th, and it wouldn't be too expensive, probably looking at about $1.5 million US, and that would increase the capacity to about 640 tons per day. So over the next while, probably into 2026 is when we look to achieve that. We'd push to about 640 tons per day, and then up to 750. And if all goes well, we'd love to hit about 1,000 tons per day towards the end of 2027. So it's not a huge amount of capital outlay. Step 1 is about $1.5 million US. Step 2 is probably similar to that. So not a huge amount, and we should be able to do that with cash flows if everything continues to go well.
Excellent. And moving on to the financials, can you at all provide us an update on your financial performance and the future financials of the company? You've recently hit these milestones. So how's it looking?
For sure. Yeah, it's difficult for us to talk about it. For one thing, we did push towards production without a feasibility study or a bankable feasibility study, which would have probably cost us quite a bit of money. That could have taken up to a couple of years. And with today's gold and silver prices, it made a lot of sense for us to move into test mining the production as soon as possible. So we do have a lot of production records. We understand our costs kind of inside and out. We're just unable to share, all-in sustaining costs or guidance just yet, but we're going to be getting there. So our year-end financials should be out kind of mid-April of 2020. 2025. So that will be really just the last 6 months of 2024 and the production. And again, that was smaller scale. And we'll be able to share that information in about April. And it, should be pretty good. And then we'll be able to share Q1 of 2025, which will be the first full quarter of commercial production in about May. So, we're pretty much ready to share information, but it takes a little while in terms of audits and things like that. So make sure all the numbers are up and running. We actually have the auditors at site as we speak. So once we have the full audit done, we'll be able to share that information. People will be able to see an all-in sustaining costs, and then you can kind of, pick your own guidance for the rest of the year. But, we're hoping to always, constantly increase those numbers, at least in terms of revenues and things like that. So yeah, not too much to say until then, but it's pretty exciting.
Well, that leads me nicely to my last question. As you've just said, April time, we can expect some financials, but can you highlight any other upcoming milestones for our investors just to keep their eye on in the coming months?
Those are the big ones. So definitely the financials. We did provide a little bit of guidance at the end of January, just because it was a good month and we just wanted to communicate with our shareholders and say, everyone, listen, things are going well. We are going to be a little bit quiet just because we are, working through our year-end financials and our quarterly financials. We're starting to do a little bit of exploration work, really just mapping and things like that. So nothing too exciting for the market, but it is eventually going to get ready for a drilling campaign that we would love to do once we have enough cash flows. Again, at least for us, it's why we purchased the mine. It's, we feel one of the largest undeveloped silver districts in Mexico. So we eventually want to use those cash flows that we're generating from operations like Guitarra to go explore the now 60 kilometers of vein material that we've identified at surface. So that's really, big, exciting part for us is exploration. And once we have about 3 million US, I would say that should give us about 20 to 25,000 meters of drilling. Drilling in this area of Mexico is quite inexpensive. We'd love to get out and start drilling some of those targets. So, let us get there. We'll have a little bit to say, especially when the financials come out, and then we'll have a much better idea of when we'll be able to start the exploration campaign. Towards the middle of this year is when we'll be able to talk about when we expect that to start.
Well, I hope we can catch up then when you do have that information. You're back on the Assay TV. It's been great to hear from you and have a bit of a catch up today. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. No problem. Thanks so much, Katie. I really appreciate the questions and looking forward to chatting again when our financials come out.